Good evening and welcome to today's Tropics for July 20th, 2020. Please note I'm not a meteorologist and this video is just a collection of my thoughts and opinions about the storms I'm talking about. And for any decision making, please consult the National Hurricane Center or local officials. Today I'm looking at Infest 90 or 99L in the main development region here. This disturbance right now that isn't quite an invest area, and it's currently over or near Cuba. And Infest 90L, which is currently over the northwestern Gulf of Mexico. So first off, let's look at Infest 99L, and you can see it's not too badly organized. There is a low-level center, that, or at least the beginnings of one, and it's definitely doing decently. It's not quite as tight or circular as you'd see in an actual bona fide tropical cyclone, but it is trying to get there at least. And here you can see this area of convection, and that's to the southwest, and that is because there's some northeasterly shear in the area, and that's because 99L is under the tropical easterly jet. So it is getting a bit sheared, especially with the weak trade winds at the moment. Looking at the infrared imagery, you can see that the convection isn't too deep. It's negative 60 to 70 degrees Celsius at minimum, but this is probably enough to get facilitate pressure falls. And with those pressure falls, you have the pressure get lower than the environmental pressure, and then you have a stronger circulation, and that would help it organize into an actual bona fide tropical cyclone. Looking at the latest ASCAT pass, which is a bit over 2 hours ago from when I'm recording, you can see it's it's getting there, but it's not quite there. It is still elongated here, as you can see, and that means it's got some work to do, because for it to be an actual tropical cyclone, it needs to have a more symmetrical circular circulation, and with some convection over the center, which is more likely as the shear decreases as Infest 99L moves to the west. You might get this to become more organized and possibly become a tropical depression, but we'll have to see. It's likely that Infest 99L will experience its most favorable conditions in the next few days. That's when the shear begins to decrease, and it's also going to have pretty decent relative humidity values around it, because it will be embedded in the intertropical convergence zone. So it'll be able to. That's probably going to be when it's going to try to wrap up and become a tropical depression, if it does become one. But as we get into Thursday, it does look like conditions will start to get worse for Infest 99L. And that's because it's pretty badly timed. Even though it's pretty well organized, the conditions around it are not going to get any better. There's a suppressed, convectively coupled Kelvin wave in the area, and what that's going to do is start making itself known in the main development region. And one signal of that will be this trade wind surge here. As you can see, there's stronger winds up here. And what that's going to do is going to force Infest 99L to start moving faster, and that means it has to be stronger to actually stay closed. So it might open up as it approaches the Caribbean, and at the same time that'll also string out the vorticity here, and that likely means that it is not going to be able to keep being a tropical cyclone. You can see this better and on the relative humidity, and you can also notice that by this time it's also trying to split from the intertropical convergence zone, and you tend to see Infest like this struggle as they try to maintain their own convection and deal with dry air. But you can see how it's slightly oval in shape, and that means means it's starting to get a bit more strung out, and likely more so as it approaches the Caribbean. Let's take a look at this disturbance that's currently over near Cuba. Right, it's a tropical wave that has come in from the main development region and has been able to get some rather persistent convection. The issue is the wave axis is dealing with a lot of land. First Hispaniola, and now it's Cuba, and this interaction with the Greater Antilles is not helping it to amplify into a tropical cyclone, or at least into a stronger wave. So it's likely that at this time, it's not going to likely do much. It's just going to um, crawl north or go to the north or west northwest. Maybe bring some rain in the areas that near it. But in the very very near term, it's not going to do too much. You can see that a bit of that wave axis though, because there is a generally east northeasterly wind that turns a bit more to the east northeast. So there is some sort of cyclonic turning, and that indicates that there is a tropical wave axis in this region. Looking in the next 24 hours, so this is Tuesday afternoon, at least for the east coast here, and you can see there's a decent wave. It's not too amplified, but there is some decent amplification here, and is currently at this frame currently entering into the Gulf of Mexico, and it's going to have pretty decent conditions and very warm water under it. So it's likely going to see this. Uh, you're going to see this wave axis over the decent conditions and no more land interaction try to amplify, and that's what the GFS does with it, along with some other models. And this actually closes off the circulation, but it's quite weak, and we'll have to see if it's a little stronger or weaker than that, because that'll tell us if we do have an actual tropical cyclone or not. But again, we'll have to see about that. But it doesn't look like it'll have the time to wrap up and actually be a strong tropical cyclone, likely. But it does look like there's going to be a system inbound into the Texan coast, probably early on Friday morning. Since the system doesn't look like it'll be an especially strong storm, it's likely it'll follow the playbook for generally weaker storms, and the main issue it seems will be some rain, and you can see this with the precipitable water here. It's likely going to bring in some moist conditions. So here you have a lot more water in the atmosphere, and that's into the Texan coast. So it's 2.5 inches of precipitable water. So as a result, you might see some enhanced storm activity and maybe some more rain. But that'll likely be the main impact for the system, it seems. Whether or not it's a tropical cyclone or not, that's not really too important. It looks like mainly rain is the issue. Now, looking at Invest 90L, looked a lot more promising earlier today, but it's kind of fizzled now. This area of convection, again, was impressive, but now it's just all cirrus. Until earlier, it was being enhanced by a low-level convergence area because he had winds from the east coming in with some light westerly winds, and that means along with this upper trough that was also causing some upper divergence in this area, you had like a sweet spot for convection here, and if that continued, it might have been able to get this low-level area of spin into it and possibly amplify into a tropical cyclone. But given that this is just completely fizzled, it doesn't look like there's going to be much time, because that low-level center right here is pretty close to the coast, so it's likely going to try to head inland, and the chances are now decreasing for this. It has a 10% chance of development now, so it definitely looks like this probably won't develop at this point, just because it doesn't have the time to regain this convection and actually develop. Similarly to the last storm, though, it might have some impacts in the form of wet weather. Not quite as much as the other one. This looks like closer to about a bit over 2 inches of precipitable water instead of 2.5, but does look like maybe wetter conditions for southeastern Texas and western Louisiana, but otherwise it doesn't look like this system will have major impacts. Otherwise, there isn't too much. There isn't anything else going on in the Atlantic tropics. It's three systems right now, and it's only July 20th. But there are two tropical depressions. One that's going to be a tropical storm soon in the East Pacific, and an invest area also in the southern Indian Ocean. But other than that, there's nothing else really going on the tropics. If you have any questions or comments about my video, please let me know, and thanks for watching.